Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
And I'm Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Hey.
Happy season 13.
It's finally here.
It's finally here, for better or worse.
It's going to be properly horrifying. So,
for everyone involved.
Before we get into news, if you weren't aware because you didn't listen to our wrap-up, this season is going to be really, really bad.
No, don't say that.
Or really, really good.
Okay. Say that.
And before we get into anything, I'm going to give you a content warning because some of the films here are going to be heinous. So be careful what you decide to watch for this season.
Totally fair. And of course, we will give warnings where we can or where we see applicable. We will miss some things.
This is a general warning on everything we're going to cover.
Yes.
All right, news?
Well, sure, we'll do news first, then we can explain how the show works. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, that was my plan.
Because I only have one piece of news anyway. In remake/returning franchise news, there have been talks of a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. We've talked about that for a while now. There have been a lot of names bouncing around the space about who wants to direct it, who wants to be in it. But as of right now, there is nothing official yet, but the potential is definitely getting closer to fruition. Like, it's definitely something might happen soon. There's just nothing official. Deadline reports that studios are reaching out to Verve, the current Texas Chainsaw rights holder, not limited to, but including filmmaker JT Molnar and producer Roy Lee, known for their work on Strange Darling, which I've heard is really good. I've not seen it, but I've heard good things. Also in discussion are A24 and Lionsgate for picking up the Texas Chainsaw franchise to either do a remake or some continuation of the franchise. That's interesting. I'm kind of excited about that. I think a A24 Texas Chainsaw movie could be good.
It could also be
really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the consensus right now about A24 in general, is either it's really good or it's really bad. But I'm excited that this classic franchise has a lot of potential and people are still reaching out to the people who have the rights, asking them to make movies.
Well, yeah, because you get, with big franchises like that, you get such a great initial buy-in of audience retention.
Yeah.
You're basically like, oh, a bunch of people will come to this, even if it's really bad.
So I'm hoping that that's not the case and that it's actually a good film this time.
I mean, me too, because the last one sucked.
I've heard a lot of the recent ones are bad.
I didn't like the new one.
I've heard they're pretty rough. But I guess it's nice to see that there's still hope for some of these older franchises in getting remakes or things that could potentially be good.
Fair enough. I got a piece of news, I guess.
Sure.
A John Carpenter film, Starman, is getting a Blu-ray and 4K release.
Oh, that's really cool.
If you've never seen it, that's going to be a thing now. So it's coming out eventually. All right, podcast part of the podcast?
Sure. I don't have any more news.
Okay, so what is Beware the Board?
Yeah.
We are a very information-heavy and respectable show here at Beware the Board.
Don't set the tone like that, dog.
Each season, we review different movies using random categories that we select. Bob gets to select one category, I select the other, and then we have a random decided from a list that we
sound like you should be in an infomercial.
Now, what makes the podcast really special is that each category has 3 spots. There's movies in each spot, and Bob gets to choose what we're watching. He has no idea what it's going to be, and I know exactly what it's going to be. Now, Robert...
Don't call me Robert. That is where... No, you have to acknowledge this right now. Never call me that. I hate that.
All right, I'm done with that voice. All right, my category this season is... Well, let me jump back a little bit. We're doing a shitty season this season because Bob...
Stop blaming me.
It is your fault. He decided he wanted to do trauma films in response to the new Toxic Avenger film coming out in... I think it's August.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily have to put Toxic Avenger on the podcast, which is very funny.
Yeah, but if you didn't, I'm going to be really upset.
And then we agreed, basically before the podcast started, that if we ever did a thing where we were reviewing trauma films, we were also going to review full moon films at the same time. So that is my category. And then our random, which just amazing.
This is pure luck.
Amazingly horrible luck on my side, was my proposed random for the season. So it is Killer Food.
I'm not excited about that one.
So it's gonna be not great. Peek behind the curtain. I've made the season board, and it's bad. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Killer Food is just the category I'm so unexcited about.
But
at least the other two could be fun.
We have to get through it. Because remember, we were doing Killer Objects, and I was like, oh, okay, we're not going to do Killer Food here.
We saved it.
So I have to save it, and, I've thrown it on there now, so might as well.
Okay, so, look, I have all my spots, right? I have every category, I have all my spots. I have all 9 potential things. But I'm going to start with where the season should start. I'm going to start in Trauma.
You sure you don't want to start in Full Moon?
No.
Kind of mix it up a little bit?
No,
Because everyone expects you to start in Trauma.
and that's what I'm going to do. I will not disappoint. Because, I'm be honest, it'd be kind of nice to watch the Toxic Avenger first movie. That's pretty cool. Not going to happen, but it's pretty cool.
It'd be kind of nice to watch the Toxic Avenger anytime this season, right?
Yeah, it would be. It would be nice. I would be so mad, Ben. But I'm going to pick Trauma. I have all 3 spots.
What do you think's going to be in here?
Well, okay, so off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of famous Trauma movies. Terra Firma could be in there. We could do Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. That's not really a horror movie.
That one's
but
so racist.
It's, yeah. Let me think. Poltergeist is an option. I mean, there's a bunch. There's so many.
And they're all bad.
Romeo and Juliet, Class of Nukem High, which I actually really like that movie. There's a bunch. There are a lot. So I'm going to pick Trauma
Which spot?
2.
2?
What is in Trauma spot number 2?
Today, we were watching a film from 1986
Let's go.
entitled Class of Nukem High.
Fuck yeah! I really like this movie. This movie is... A lot of Trauma movies are bad. So bad they're good. This movie, I think, is actually just good.
That's fair. I think you said it was the last Trauma film
It
you
is the
watched
last Trauma film I watched, yeah.
on the wrap up. So that's super cool that we're getting this one first. It'll be fresh in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie specifically for its theme song because I think
The theme song slaps.
theme song slaps. It's great. But yeah, I'll just get into it. For my description, Traumaville probably isn't the best place to go to high school.
You're so right, bro.
And for anyone who isn't a Trauma fan, basically they have a fictional town called Traumaville where a lot of their films take place.
Mhm.
This one obviously is set at Traumaville High, but like Toxic Avengers also in Traumaville.
I'm pretty sure Romeo and Juliet is also Traumaville.
It's right across the river from, I think, New York.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be in New Jersey.
I think it's in New Jersey, which is really accurate for
Trauma.
Trauma. Length, it's an hour and 25 minutes long.
Nice.
It's rated R.
Thank God.
For review scores,
These are going to be diabolical all season, bro.
I want to start off by saying we don't have anything for Metacritic because
Fair.
you need at least 4 critic reviews to go on Metacritic.
Well, there's 2 right here, so we need 2 more.
But IMDb gave it a 5.6 out of 10.
That's better than I thought.
Tomato Meter gave it a 20%.
Let's go.
And an audience score of 49%.
They're all going to be low.
Oh, yeah.
All season. There's nothing we can do.
I was filling out the board. It's finding reviews was a struggle. Let me put it that way.
Awesome.
Okay, for notable actors, and this is kind of one of the things I want to note like right now. First of all, a lot of Trauma actors aren't really famous, but they do star in a lot of Trauma stuff. So you usually see one actor across multiple things. I tried to get other films these actors were known for. That happens to be Trauma films. There you go. We have Janelle Brady as Chrissy. She was Mary Lou in The All-Nighter. Gil Brenton, who is going by Gilbert Brenton in this film, is playing Warren. He played Tim from Lex. He was on 4 episodes between 1996 and 97. Robert Pritchard as Spike. He was Slug in The Toxic Avenger. James Nugent Vernon. It could be Nugent. I don't know. As Eddie. He was a younger male body in Thrilled to Death. Pat Ryan, who's going by R.L. Ryan in this film, is playing Mr. Paley. Bob knows this actor because he's the mayor in Toxic Avenger.
Oh, okay.
So Mayor Peter Belgoody.
I know who that is.
Brad Dunker as Gonzo. He's not really in any other things. Gary Schneider as Pete. He was Mollusk in Beach Balls. Theo Cohan as Muffy. They were Casino Gambler in Things Change. Rick Howard as Spud. He was Victor, uncredited in Ghost Adventures, because that show's totally real and they don't hire fake actors.
What the fuck?
He was on 1 episode in 2023. Gary Rosenblatt as Greg, not really in anything else. Mary Taylor as Judy. She was Amanda from Hawaii Five-0 in 1 episode in 1977. And then finally we have Lauren Heather McMahon, who's going by Heather McMahon as Taru. And she plays the Vibrator in Citizen Toxie, The Toxic Avenger 4.
Ah, okay.
So I got a lot of people. Not a lot of them are like super well known. And you can tell people are ashamed to be in this movie because they're using
Fake names.
fake names.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common thing in Trauma films. Actually, it's less common in Full Moon pictures. People seem to be more okay with being in those.
Yeah.
In either case, we have 2 directors on this project. We have Richard W. Haynes, who also directed Alien Space Avenger from 1989. Not sure if you're familiar with that one.
I don't know that one, yeah.
And then our other director is Bob's favorite human being, who he wishes could be his father,
Lloyd Kaufman.
Lloyd Kaufman, who's also directed a bunch of trauma films.
Oh, an ungodly amount.
But a good example here is going to be Trauma Wars.
Oh, Trauma War is so good. That's one I hadn't even thought about. Oh, so good.
What I will mention is even he is using a different name when he directs this film.
Yeah?
I was looking at his IMDb page, and he seemed to use it like around the 80s. I think when he first started directing, he wasn't using his real name.
What was the name he was going under?
It is Samuel Weil.
Huh.
So it's actually on a lot of films. I think he's credited as that on Trauma Wars. He might be credited as that on Toxic Avenger. It's like a bunch of like his really big movies.
That's really interesting.
Mostly because I think people start at Trauma and then they're not sure if they're gonna stay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't think he was the main guy at Trauma back then.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
I think he was just starting out. So writer is Richard W. Haynes. So one of the directors. He also wrote What Really Frightens You in 2009, but he has a screenplay credit on this film. Another one of our writers is Mark Rudnitsky. He has a screenplay credit on this, but it doesn't look like he's written anything else. And then finally, for our last screenplay credit, we have Lloyd Kaufman, who also wrote Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
Sergeant Kabuki Man. That movie is so wild.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it, not in years. Insane film.
With that being said, there is a additional dialogue credit for this film, and that's by Graham Flashner. And he helped write The Secretary in 1995. It's about a killer secretary. I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Budget is estimated at $400,000.
Yeah. Classic Trauma, no money.
They are really good at stretching it.
100%. This movie looks great for $400,000 from what I remember.
And the other thing I want to say is if you've ever seen the Curse Films series on Shudder, if you're a fan of Shudder and you own that, it's really, really good. They have a whole interview with Lloyd Kaufman, and it's really cool because he's basically like, we make shit movies. The big thing I would care about is that no one gets hurt. And I think that's such a great idea as like a director, as a person who owns this entertainment company.
I mean, I think that's why I've always loved Lloyd Kaufman, is because like he knows what he's making, but he does it the right way. You know what I mean?
And he's really nice. I've met him before. Bob is very jealous.
I want to meet him so bad. You have first year we went to the convention, he was supposed to be there and he canceled, and I was so upset.
He was there the year before.
Yeah.
When I went by myself.
I know. I'm mad that I didn't get to go because literally one of my heroes. I love this man to death.
No box office. Shocker, this was direct to video. That's going to be a common thing we see this season.
Yeah.
Country of origins, United States. The working title for this film is Nukem High.
Oh, okay.
Which is...
Makes sense.
Tagline: reading, writing, and radiation.
I did not know that was the tagline. That's awesome.
It's pretty good.
That's so good.
Don't really have a lot of facts for this film because, to be honest, I didn't want to go through the time to look for a lot of facts for trauma films, and I would have to because there's some available facts, but it's basically nothing. So, right off the bat, the laser effects for the film were created by Jason Sapin. Soundtrack for this film was released for the first time on like an album in 2014.
Oh, that's really cool.
So that's really cool. Apparently, if you got the album, there was a downloadable file where I think Lloyd Kaufman does commentary on each song.
Whoa!
And it also has like an unreleased song from this movie that didn't get put in.
If I had a bunch of money, I would have a whole room in my house dedicated to cool trauma stuff.
And that really describes what type of person Bob is.
Because like that's so cool. I want that now.
And then, last thing, this film has a bunch of like sequels and stuff.
It does.
That is a common thing, again, that you're going to see this season, where anything that was successful from these smaller companies, Full Moon, Trauma, gets remade. Because it's easier to do a well-known IP than it is to start something new, both from a writing perspective and from a gathering audience. So, this one has what?
There's a remake, isn't there?
There's essentially a remake. I don't think it's a remake, but it's Return to Nukem High.
Okay.
Which is from like 2000 something.
I think it was 2009 or something.
It's basically a remake, but not scene for scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some conversation about doing like an actual remake of the movie.
I would like a modern remake. That'd be cool.
But I don't know if that'll ever come out.
Fair enough.
Anyways, we're going to get into watching this. So,
yeah.
I guess we'll see you in a bit.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in a minute. Hi everybody, welcome back. We just finished watching Class of Nukem High.
Yeah, and what an exciting class it was.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild movie. definitely not the most insane trauma film ever.
No, it's not the most crazy trauma
But it's a
movie.
pretty decent one. I think it gives you a nice little mix of what to expect from trauma while also being kind of an actual movie.
I think it's a good starting point. It's a good baseline for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. With that being said, you liked it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this movie a lot.
That's fair. Okay, usual spiel. Gonna give a quick little spoiler thing, and then we'll get into the actual movie. As always, we recommend you go watch the film before we spoil anything, because that's the best way to enjoy the content. And I think we're going to be pretty heavy with spoilers today, because that's kind of the only way to talk about this movie.
It's also been out for almost, 40 years at this point?
It's been out for a long time.
Yeah, it's an old movie, so.
So what is this movie about, you might ask? Honestly, kind of don't know coming out of it. There's this school. It's called Trauma High School.
Yep.
Which they have crossed out and then written in spray paint, Nukem High. And a lot of weird things happen at Nukem High because it's less than a quarter of a mile away from a...
No, it's at least a quarter mile away, according to a character.
A quarter of a mile away from a nuclear power plant that has some of the worst safety precautions I've ever seen.
I don't think OSHA's ever been to that nuclear power plant. Not a single time.
OSHA's ever been to Tromaville.
No, OSHA's actually barred from Tromaville.
In either case, the nuclear power plant is constantly leaking like radioactive waste into Tromaville High.
Yeah.
And it's causing a lot of problems. For instance...
Well, okay, I would say at first there are no problems.
I don't know. There's a whole gang of cretins.
But who says they're a problem, right? It really depends on your perspective, Benjamin.
In either case, wacky shenanigans ensue. And, that's the movie. Also, there's a whole love story. So if you're into a wacky love story, maybe you should check this out.
I would say this is a romantic comedy.
I honestly can't disagree with you.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to get into the movie?
Sure.
Okay. Is there anything you want to start off with?
Well, okay, we could start with the fact that it's a rom-com. How about that? We could start here.
Okay. So the movie focuses on two main characters, really. There's a lot of other characters that get, I'd say, a decent amount of screen time. But this is about Chrissy, and then what's the dude's name?
Warren.
Buffett?
Nope.
I don't know his last name. I know I made that joke during the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so Warren is, I want to say, like, straight edge.
No, he's
almost.
definitely not.
But he's, like, on the football team, he's definitely the more preppy kind of kid. For this school, he's straight
a normal
edge.
kid.
Yeah.
Everyone else here are freaks. He is normal.
And then Chrissy's kind of in the same boat, where she's a normal person. They both kind of fit the stereotype of, like, football guy and high school cheerleader.
Yeah.
That go to a really preppy school. But they go to Tromaville, which is the exact opposite of very preppy. And, just a lot of the movie follows their relationship, like how they're progressing as a couple, the whole, like, should we have sex kind of thing. And honestly, I think they tackled the romantic part of this decently well.
Oh, no, they definitely tried.
They have a fairly believable relationship for a trauma movie, which is kind of impressive, honestly. Like,
no, it is really impressive.
It's hard to make a believable, like, romance, especially teenage romance. And this one does it without making it seem too melodramatic. Like, it just feels normal.
But I think that it does benefit from the fact that the rest of this film is not so normal.
Yeah.
Like, they are probably the only people in this movie that have a normal relationship with each other. Everyone else is a bunch of, like, freaks.
Yeah, basically, Warren's friends. He has Eddie, who is basically Shelly Jr.
From Friday the 13th Part 3.
Friday the 13th Part 3, but somehow still better than Shelly.
Oh, 100% better than Shelly. I like him much more.
But he's like a hound dog and just like a goofball to the extreme. There's another friend I don't know the name of.
I don't remember his name.
Also, like, kind of the same boat.
They're kind of like a dynamic duo together.
Of just, please
horny
don't.
And also funny, but also not funny.
And then aside from that, we have the Cretans, which are really the other main characters. I'm not going to count Chrissy's friends because
they're around.
They're around, kind of. But the Cretans are essentially, this is getting back to the nuclear radiation thing. They were originally the honor society, and now they're just like a gang of splatterpunk freaks. We're going to use Bob's word from way back when. Just insanely done. And those are such extremes from just normal high school kids that they really do stand out.
No, it's the shots where it shows them in like assemblies or them in a classroom mixed with all these normal children are so fucking funny.
Oh, the
Because
Cretans?
they're just so insane looking.
Oh, yeah. Gotta say, I love the Cretans' designs.
No, I do too. I think they look really cool.
It kind of feels like the prop and makeup department was just told to have fun.
Yeah, and they do.
And everyone does. We can go through a couple of them here. There's Spike, who's definitely the leader. And he looks like, I don't know.
He looks like David Bowie.
David Bowie is the one I was going to say. But like just an 80s hairband kind of rock kind of dude. But the other one I really look at is Gonzo.
I love the rings, man.
Who is probably my favorite. And he's basically modeled after a caveman, but with 2 giant nose rings.
Yeah.
And the entire movie, he's just making grunt and animal noises.
And because he always wears a mouth guard.
Yeah.
He like has like no lines.
But they're
basically.
like actually subbed in like
yeah.
animal noises.
And it's really funny.
It's great. And every character's like that. Each one is very unique. Like you cannot get them confused.
No, and they all have their own thing too. Like they feel, as much as this film is a wild fever dream of unrealistic bullshit, the characters still feel like real people in the world they've created.
Not in real life.
Not in real life, but in Tromaville,
I could
these
imagine
characters
seeing
feel
them.
real.
Yeah.
Which is honestly really impressive.
But yeah, those are really our only main characters in this film.
Yeah.
So that should tell you a lot that this movie is relying more on just what's happening during the runtime rather than anything specifically like character development and stuff.
Yeah.
You might be surprised. Trauma can do character development stuff.
Oh, they absolutely can.
But
This is not one of those
this
films.
is not one of those films.
This is one of those films that you watch for the spectacle.
Yes.
Because, and I'm gonna move on right now to this thing. I was very, very, very surprised by how good some of the effects in this film are. I remembered them being good, but rewatching it, some of these are like really, really good.
Yeah, they're all very impressive. Not just the effects, but like the costuming and the sets. Everything looks really good, which is kind of shocking when you see a $400,000 budget from
100%.
1986. And I think that really comes down to the fact that there are benefits to being a studio who does a very specific genre of film. Trauma probably has tons and tons and tons of props for random bullshit. And so you can draw on that backlog to just get really impressive stuff for a minimal budget. And I think they really pull that off here.
No, agreed.
There was nothing in this film I was like, you probably bought that specifically for this movie. It all felt like it was just general props they had lying around.
But it doesn't feel cheap or unlike. Nothing felt out of place is my point. Like,
Yeah.
I could tell they were probably reusing stuff, but the stuff they were reusing made sense in context and still looked really good.
And I think that comes down to the fact that Tromaville is such a wild place. But yeah, they had some really great effects. Probably the first one we see is during the cold open.
I love the cold open to this movie.
We have a nerdy kid who drinks just toxic waste,
Yeah.
which I want to note right now is like just green food dye.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's watered down because it's such a
It's
dark
so,
green color.
like, dark, yeah.
And it stains everything. But he drinks it, starts spazzing out, and then melts.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great melting effect. I assume they had that like skeleton already where it was really
I have
gooey.
no idea.
But yeah, like it opens its eyes.
There's steam coming out of his mouth.
It looks just great. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of little things like that. You know, some gore effects look really decent. At one point, someone's neck gets stretched and you can see it flexing.
I will put it out there. I forgot how, like, body horror intense this movie kind of is for me. Like, I was kind of taken aback by how, like, visceral some of these scenes were rewatching them. Because I just forgot about it.
Yeah, and then, you know, not to get into too many spoilers here, but we're going to say the baby looks great.
Yeah.
It looks familiar to me.
It does for me, too. I thought I recognized it,
And
but I can't remember what it's from.
I cannot remember what it's from, but assumedly it's a reused design from something
Yeah.
else. Because it looks so much better than everything in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
It's an incredible suit. I don't know how they
Incredible.
did it, but it's awesome.
The mouth moves. The tail is so good and just feels like peak Alien references.
100%.
And I just really like that. So yeah, it's just a very impressive film visually.
Yeah. Even though, we mentioned this, we watched this in 4K.
No, we watched this on Blu-ray.
It's so grainy because it's so old.
Oh my god, yeah. They kept the grain, which, to be honest, I do like that in my transfers.
I do too.
Because it feels accurate. You can tell when they're using cheaper, like, camera stock.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly in that cold open and intro, it's
bad.
It's bad. It
gets a lot better later in the movie.
The grainiest things I've seen. But, there's a ton of little things like that where it's like, oh, I can tell this was cheaply made. Not only the grain, because the quality of the film switches randomly, but there's some scenes where the sound just cuts off.
Yeah.
Or continuity errors are really obvious.
Or like there won't be like grain, but there'll be spots on the film for half a second and it will flip over and switch frames.
And they're not like cigarette marks, like
No.
the purposeful ones. No, they're just like
fucked up
degradation
film.
in the film. And just a ton of stuff like that. Always interesting to see. And I think that's kind of one of the benefits and issues to watching this on like modern kind of stuff. This film was never meant to be seen
No.
in 1080p. I don't know what it would have been on originally, because VHS 480, especially
360, 480, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And so like watching it now, not only are those issues a lot more obvious, but even the effects kind of don't look as good as they probably did on SD.
100%.
For instance, all the gore, just you can tell that it's like makeup on top of something. But I don't mind that.
No, I don't mind it either.
I think if you know you're going to watch something like this, like an old movie in higher quality than it was ever intended, you have to be aware of that. But all of it still looks shockingly impressive for something they never intended to be seen in close detail.
No, there's a scene where someone gets punched through the skull, hand comes out the other side and kills them, and it looks really fucking good.
Yeah, leave it to Troma to know how to pull off some hard shots with gore and stuff. Like people's eyes get poked out,
Oh, yeah,
the
that
head
one's
gets
good.
exploded. Just a lot of things that I look at and I'm like, that is a hard thing to do as an effects guy. We talked about someone's throat like expanding.
Oh, yeah, that one's crazy.
That one's wild. And, again, that's the benefit of having experience doing something like this. I think
100%.
Troma really, it has its strong suits, and they really come through with this movie.
Yeah, 100% agreed. While I do really like the effects, and I will agree that Troma has its strong suits, it's still not a great... Well, okay, I enjoyed it to a great level. Quality-wise, I don't think it's a great film.
No, this is probably something you're going to hear a lot during this season, but it's one of those movies that has an intended audience. It's Bob.
Yeah,
And
I am the intended audience.
it's not trying to be high art or
No.
art at all. It's just an experience. Because of that, nothing really happens in this movie,
Yeah.
honestly. Events do happen.
But they don't matter.
They don't matter. It's just like, how much crazy shit can we throw into an hour and 30
Exactly.
minute runtime? And that can be very entertaining at times, but that is not a great movie.
No.
Especially when we combine it with all the other issues we've mentioned. Because again, the issues are what makes it fun
Funny.
if you're coming into this with the right mindset.
So that's something I really wanted to talk about, at least at this season and in general. Like, by the end of this, you're probably going to hear me give this a relatively good score because I enjoy the film. But I will say, I'm coming into all of these films knowing what they're going to be with the right mindset. And if you don't, I could see how you could watch this movie and go, I fucking hated that. That was horrible. You have to watch any of these films that we're watching this season knowing what you're getting yourself into, or you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
You have to have the right headspace and come in with the right intentions, or you're just not going to enjoy the films as much as we probably will.
Yeah, it's just to let you into how bad this was. If you watched our last season, this one's quality-wise is probably worse than Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, 100%. It's objectively so much worse.
But it's fun.
But I liked
That's
it.
what you like. I think that is a good thing to mention. I also want to mention, soundtrack's really great.
The soundtrack is really great.
I know we touched on this already in the beginning part of the podcast, but the theme song for this movie
It's so good.
is so good. I knew the theme song of this movie before I'd even seen it, and it is just very catchy. It's very simple. They honestly just say, what's going on at Nukem High? But You'd be surprised how much a good like theme song can do for a movie like this.
100%, especially when they like. I think they use it really effectively in this film.
Mm-hmm.
They only play it when it's like it feels relevant.
I think they only play it when there's like radioactive stuff going on,
Yeah.
which makes sense because it gets the nickname Nukem High because of all the radioactive stuff nearby.
Yeah.
But that's really effective. And then also, some of the camera shots are wild.
That's something I wanted to say. While the film quality itself isn't great, some of these shots of this movie are really impressive and creative.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, again. But some of these shots are, I wouldn't say they're good shots from a technical angle.
No, but they're cool.
But they're cool, and a lot of them are, like, you can tell it saves them money. So they'll have some weird, like, close-ups sometimes of just random characters. At one point, a bunch of characters run past a camera and it flips over because I think someone kicks it.
Mm-hmm.
They do, like, a weird effect on some of the film. Like, what is that? They make it all yellow.
Oh, the like weird.
Sepia.
I don't even know what they like saturate it really hard.
I don't know. There's just a ton of cool stuff they do. Lots of cuts because they'll do like combinations of different shots to pull off effects.
Yeah.
We mentioned in the cold open that someone melts.
Yeah.
Before that, they jump out a window, and it's like back to back, like 6 or 7 cuts in rapid succession of just different things to put that scene together. And I think all of that is, again, cool.
It's cool. I think that is going to be the thing we're going to say this season a lot is a lot of these movies follow the rule of cool. If it's cool, they're probably going to do it, even if it is not a great movie choice.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally okay with because, like, once again, I'm watching these films from my perspective of I want to have a fun time, and I'm having a fun time, so doing its job.
That's good. Outside of that, I think the only thing to mention now is just, at least for me, is some of the just weird shit that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, okay.
Let me see what I can remember off the top of my head, because there's probably too much to mention, but there's a beach-themed party.
Indoor beach theme party.
Someone's drinking, like, I don't know, suntan lotion or something.
Yeah.
It's wild and it's out of nowhere. One of the characters grows a giant penis for no reason.
Well,
It never comes back up again.
but it's not real.
Are you sure it's not real?
I would think so.
Because we see that same character looking like that minus the penis in later scenes.
Yeah, but that happens once.
I don't know. Random, right?
Sure.
Let's see, what else is there? There's a nuclear, like, fallout bunker in the basement of this school.
Well, that would make sense.
Which makes sense, because the school's from, what, 69 or something?
Yeah, but it's also a quarter mile from a...
But it's also just filled with nuclear radiation.
Oh, yeah, it's compromised as fuck.
The Cretans are just, in of
Wild.
themselves, wild. They do wild shit. They hang out at a junkyard.
Yep. They harass everyone in sight, no matter who they are. They steal old women's purses.
Oh my god, they rip people off for weed.
Oh my god, they do. Holy shit.
Like, they're charging, what, $10 or $20 for a joint?
10 or 20 bucks for a joint is crazy.
And, like, I don't smoke, but I also know this is
1986
86, and that's an insane amount of money
for
like,
one joint.
one thing.
So, this is something I wanted to talk about because it's one of my favorite parts of this movie. I love that the Cretans are just like shit tier drug dealers.
I don't know why they're even dealing drugs when they're basically just holding up these people for money.
Yeah, I know. They could just take the money. They don't need to actually give them anything in return.
But I do think it's very interesting. They are just specifically selling to the nerds.
Yeah.
Which feels like it's just the crowd they originally hung with.
Oh, if they're old friends.
Yeah.
But the reason they're selling weed to these people is because there's a dude at the nuclear power plant growing weed in the radioactive waste.
Apparently it grows much faster.
It grows much faster. So, like, they're just passing out these fucking little blunt or these little joints saying, like, it'll give you an atomic high. And just, like, poisoning these people actively. And it's so fucking funny to me. It's, like, criminal.
I mean, it is criminal.
Well, yes, okay. It is literally criminal. But it's one of the parts of this movie that I just go, who wrote this? This is insane. And
Lloyd
that's, like...
Kaufman.
Well, it was Lloyd Kaufman. There's lots of stuff in this movie where I go, that is an insane thing to come up with, but it's incredibly funny, and I'm glad it's in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's the more tame portion, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely the more tame
There's a
person.
dominatrix lady later.
Yeah, Taru,
Yeah.
who just comes out of nowhere. But I was like, yeah,
Never seen her before in my
this
life.
seems about right.
Yeah, okay. You're in the basement? Cool.
I think that is a good jumping off point for, this is a trauma film, so it's pretty sexual at times.
Oh, 100%.
they get a lot of attractive women, and some of them go topless. We have a dominatrix lady.
Yeah.
Pretty classic stuff. Skimpy outfits, especially amongst the Cretans.
Oh, yeah.
Just something to notice if you're unfamiliar with trauma films. But that's pretty standard. And honestly,
yeah.
once you watch this movie, you're kind of like, oh,
You get it.
I wouldn't expect anything else.
Yeah. I do like the end of this movie quite a bit. We haven't really touched on it. I don't know how much we want to spoil. Actually, it doesn't matter. The school blows up.
Yes.
They blow the school up is at the end of this movie. And it looks good. I like it. I actually very much like the end of this movie. It's one of my favorite parts.
Well, I think what's so cool about the ending is like, okay, the school blowing up just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not unexpected, and especially the kids go, no school.
Yeah.
That's all pretty standard, like 80s hijinks in a movie like this. But what I think's so cool about the school exploding is it's very much a foreshadowed event.
Oh, yeah.
They have this whole thing where one of the characters holds a laser to their crotch, and they're like, it's the biggest penis ever. And later on in the film, the character who grew the ginormous dick blows up the school with the laser.
Yeah.
So it's just, pretty cool.
Well, I guess more of my point is like they do a good job of making sure that everyone that knows what actually happened is in the school when it explodes.
Oh, yeah.
So they clean up all of their problems with one explosion.
Well, except two characters.
But they don't know what happened. They don't know why it was happening. They don't know you know what I mean?
They do, actually. Because
Because
one of the characters has that throwaway line of, if you kill us, it's going to be really mad.
Yeah. But basically they clean up all the plot tie-ups
Yeah.
by blowing up the school with all the people
All the
in it.
loose ends are gone.
Yes, which is honestly kind of nice. Because in some trauma movies, they kind of leave a lot laying around. And they don't tie anything up.
Yeah.
So that was nice. I appreciate the attention to make sure that everyone important dies.
I think they just wanted to blow some shit up, if I'm being honest.
I mean, yeah, me too. It's cool.
All right. I'm assuming you don't have anything else. We've kind of ranted about this movie for a while.
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Recommendations?
Sure thing, boss. If you like trauma, this is a classic trauma film. This is one of those trauma films I go, this is the one that I would start people with. This is a great jumping off point. So if you're into trauma or you're not into trauma and you want to get started, start here. It's more palatable than most.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not going to, like, horrify you or anything.
No.
My first trauma film was, I believe, Toxic Avenger, and that was fun.
See, that's also a good place to start. Because I think the Toxic Avenger's good.
It pushes the envelope in a couple other places.
It does, but it's a better movie than this.
It is a better movie, just more envelope pushing, and I think that's kind of the thing about trauma.
Yeah. If you like practical effects, I like them a lot in this movie. They're all very good. I mean, there were some that I could tell how they were done, but that's kind of the fun of it, for me at least. And Trauma, as a studio, has known for practical effects. That's like their thing. So if you're into that, I think it's really good. If you want a movie from the 80s, this reeks of an 80s, like, coming-of-age high school movie, but with all the weird trauma shit shoved in, which is awesome. I love that so much. I think that's it.
All right. I think you covered most of them in your little thing. So I think the only one I'm going to add is if you're looking like for a fun experience to watch something with friends, that's what this movie is. You're not going to get a deep analysis of this movie. I mean, that's what we do, and I don't think we really got a deep analysis.
No, because
of
there's
this
nothing
film.
deeper than
It's
a
all
bunch of...
surface level.
Yeah.
But it's fun stuff. So if you're in the mood for something that's not high art, maybe not the most PC all the time, it's an okay movie to watch.
It's entertaining.
Yes. With that being said, rate it. I know you're gonna give it something ludicrously high.
No, I'm not. I'm really trying to keep myself from doing that. Because I think I enjoyed this at about a 4, or maybe a 4.5. But I'm not going to give it a 4.5. I think I'm going to give it a 3. Because I'm first of all, this is where we're starting the season. I have not seen any trauma film in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most recent for you.
And that was like 2018. It's been years.
It's been 7 years.
Yeah.
Think about that. Yeah.
Fuck, man. This feels very much like a good jumping off point for trauma and a good baseline movie. And I think it comes to a 3 for me because it has a lot of problems. But I think a lot of those problems get solved with a change in mindset and coming in knowing what you're getting yourself into. But I can't base my entire review on the fact that someone knows what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's okay. I think it's a totally fine movie if you know what you want.
That's completely fair. And I think I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not sure if I'd say I had a 4 level of fun with this movie,
That's fair.
but it very much is a film where, like, if it's something you're going to like it. However, this film is, while impressive at times, is not, like, competent
No.
at all. And, that really does hinder the film as a film. Especially because, and I'm just going to put this out here, there's not really much plot.
No, there's not. You're right.
And I think that really takes away some points for me, because that's what makes the film, I think, more entertaining on, like, second or third rewatch.
Yeah.
And while the spectacle's cool, I don't necessarily know if I could watch this film, like, soon.
Yeah. No, I feel that too. I mean, like, I had forgotten about some stuff, but the stuff I knew that was coming was a lot less impactful on rewatch.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Totally fair.
I think mostly because of the plot reason.
Yeah, and I will say I do think that if this film had any deeper, like, running themes or plot points, it could be really good.
Yeah. But it's just stuff.
It is just stuff.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff,
But
yeah.
an hour and 30 minutes of stuff. Not the stuff.
No, that comes later, probably.
That movie's not good. My warning for Papa is it's like, I don't think I made it through the last time I watched it.
Which is crazy. I don't think I've ever heard you say that before.
I think me and my roommate, we were like, let's watch this. I was like, let's watch this stuff. Let me be honest here. But we were drinking, and usually that makes it more fun. It was a very difficult thing to get halfway through that movie.
Rough.
Anyways, outtakes, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, we marked a little bit. We'll see what makes it.
I don't know if any of will make it.
Nah, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll be back in a second.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of the Class of Nukem High so far. I really love this movie. It's one of my favorite trauma films, but without further ado, let's get into the outtakes. This first clip is us realizing that one of Warren's friends looks exactly like my most hated character from the Friday the 13th franchise.
You know who that guy looks like?
Who?
Do you remember
Shelly?
the goober? Yeah. I like how the name's burned into your head.
I'll never forget.
Shelly's dead.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
Well, this was the first movie spot of the season, so you got 8 more weeks of this.
Minimum.
I'm sorry.
It could be more.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. We just got started. You can't
You're
start
right.
apologizing now.
I shouldn't apologize. Bob should apologize.
And I won't. I refuse.
Yeah, Bob has a problem with saying sorry.
That's not true. If I actually cared, I would say sorry. But I don't feel bad about this.
don't
You
care?
signed up for this, dog.
I know. In either case, I think our only other news is maybe we're doing some stuff next month in April. So I think this is coming out in April. So we're doing
Probably.
stuff this month. Sorry, we recorded this before April. But I think this should be out now. So look forward to holiday episodes. They're still in development, so we'll let you know when those are happening, if they're happening. With that being said, usual spiel here. Check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other podcast-specific platforms. If you're looking us up on any of those, please give us a quick rating or review. That really helps us get traction on those sites. However, if you really want to help us out, you can recommend us to a friend, Tell them about this podcast and how it'll give them an atomic high. And I think that'll really get them into it. And hey, we're free. We won't even charge you $10 or $20 a pop.
Yep.
With that being said, one of the other places to check us out is YouTube, which we really appreciate when you guys go do stuff there, because we can see all your likes and subscriptions, and that is really cool. Like, we like seeing that. It really keeps us going here. However, YouTube does have a couple interesting tools you might be interested in, because it's not the best for audio-only content. There's a bell button, which lets you get notified whenever we post something new. So in case we're posting something out of our usually scheduled format and we forget to remind you guys, that's a good way to know. You can also hit a bell on some of the other services like Spotify, and it does the same thing. But YouTube does have an interesting tool, and that is the search function on our channel page, which lets you search key terms in all our videos. So in case you're trying to see if we've covered a specific movie, that's probably the best way to find out. With that being said, probably the biggest thing about YouTube is it's one of the 2 major places to communicate with us at. You can message us in the comment section of a specific video if there's something you want to talk to us about in that episode. Or you can go over to Twitter at Beware the Board and ask Bob what's going on. You know?
Where?
At Nukem High, of course.
Oh, you're right. Duh. I'm being stupid. My bad. Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter at Beware the Board. It's where we post updates about the show, information about the show. Basically, if there's anything you want about the show, it goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that week's worth of episodes so you can watch the film before we do. So when we release the episodes, you don't get any spoilers or being vague about stuff. You know what we're talking about. Then on Fridays or whatever other day an episode goes live, I always post a link to the episode on our Twitter. So if you ever missed an upload or want to know when something went up, there's always a link there. Last thing, we make short form content for the show over on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Beware the Board on all of those places. So if you like short form content and want to support the show, check us out over there on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube Shorts. Benjamin, I think we're done.
Finally. All right, well, see you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.